Welcome to all of you Beatle fans of all ages, and welcome to a very, very special edition of She Said, our 2022 Fest for Beatles fan preview party. I am your co-host, Lena Stagg, the culinary chef and author of 5 extraordinary rock and roll cookbooks that are designed to create a lot of activity in your kitchen in using music history and great song lists to play while you're whipping up a dollop of good fun. For example, in this book, you can find a chapter on mondegrins. Does anybody know what a mondegrin is?
No idea.
Well, for example, I see a bathroom on the right.
It's the
Are you
misheard lyric.
You can find out more about mondegrins in the Recipe Records original edition. It's a book that spans 40 years of music, cooking, and fun. And to do this, go to my website, lenastagg.com, where you can see all of my books and sign up for the free newsletter. And if you're ever in Evansville, Indiana, stop by and chat with me at the Pitt Barbell Club and Fitness Center, now with 2 locations on the west side and east side. So you will absolutely have a blast, and I would love to see you.
Well, I can vouch for the Pitt Barbell Club. I happen to be an honorary member. I mean, for years, I was this cardio girl, and Lena has convinced me that you need to do lifting and get those muscles in shape, especially as we age. Not that I'm aging, but maybe. But it is amazing, and I love it. I highly endorse the work she does. And this is such a happy day because the isolation and the loneliness is over for so many people. And we're going to get to do the one thing that we've longed to do for the last 2 years. I'm going to get teary-eyed, but we're going to get to go back to the fest again. And everybody's so excited. It is a happy, happy day. And we have a lot of the bright lights that will be shining at the fest here with us tonight to tell you about what's coming up April 1st through the 3rd at the New York Metro Fest in Jersey City, New Jersey. So I'm encouraging everyone, if you're new, I see we have people who haven't been to the fest before. Christine Feldman Barrett is here. Yay! Yay! Debbie Greenberg, all the way from
Whoa, Debbie.
Yay! She's going to be at the fest with her great book on the cavern. And I tell you, you may think, oh, I've read all there is to read about the cavern. No, you haven't, because you never owned the cavern, and Debbie Greenberg did. You got to get her book. All of the books you'll be hearing about tonight are just amazing. And my name is Jude Southerland Kessler, and I'm the author of the John Lennon series. We're up to book 5 in our walk through John's life. And if you don't want to read the books, you can use them to lift like Lena wants to do, because they're kind of fat. This one is the first half of 1965, and I'm working away on the next half. We're so thrilled for you to be here and to check out my books. Go to johnlennonseries.com. I would appreciate it so much. And Lena, tell them how they can get yours.
Just go to lenastagg.com. You can pick up any of the Recipe Records cookbook series or the Little Dog series of children's books. Jude and I always make our books very personal, and we personalize them for you because everyone is unique and special. And special is my cue to move on to our topic at hand today, because really and truly the Fest for Beatles fans is so special in both of our lives. Jude has been going to the fest since 2003, and she's been a presenter and speaker there since 2008, I believe. And I've been a part of the fest for nearly 10 years myself. So when we tell you that a splendid time is guaranteed for all, we trust us, because we have experienced it, and Mark and Carol Lupitos promise it for you.
They do. And we're going to let you hear about the fest straight from them. Years ago, and you have to hear Mark tell this story, he's the one that tells it best. but he had the courage to do what I don't even know if I would have the courage to do, to actually go to John Lennon's hotel room unannounced, knock on the door and ask to see him about his idea of a fest for Beatles fans. And thank goodness he did, because it's not just a fest, it is our family. And getting to be there is just the most wonderful thing in the world. So before I start crying, I'm handing it over to Mark and Carol Lapidus. Yay!
Well, hello, everybody. Nice to see everybody. Nice to meet some new people. Janice, how are you? We spoke on the phone a few weeks ago.
Yes,
Pleasure to
thank
meet
you very much. Great to see you and Carol.
Yes,
Hi.
and everyone else is familiar. Susan who? Susan. Hello, Susan.
It's that
Susan's been
person.
coming longer than all of you other folks. Susan's been, she second one? First one? No, second one.
Third one, actually.
Third one, 70,
Yeah.
77, yeah.
Mhm.
And Piers, how are you? How's Canada doing?
We're thawing out. Winter's almost over, and I'm looking forward to driving down to New Jersey.
Well,
Gonna be fun. Going to be awesome.
we are so looking forward to it. We're very excited about it. And we just finished the program book. It's at the printer.
Ooh.
Woohoo. Thank you, Susan, for your help. And Tilly did a great job, and Carol and I and Michelle. We just all did it and put it together, and boom. We have a tremendous lineup of guests. And of course, I'm sure you all heard recently that we have procured the one and only Peter Jackson live
Wow.
from
Ooh.
New Zealand
Yeah.
on Zoom on our stage on Sunday afternoon at 3:30. And that is, we're just over the moon about that. We just can't wait. I mean, he's looking forward to it. As if you've heard any of his podcasts or interviews, if you went to see the movie in the IMAX in January, he's just a Beatles geek like us. He just loves the Beatles, and we can't wait to get him on the screen, and it's going to be very exciting.
Who else is going to be there, Mark?
Well, we have a couple of other first-time guests. We have Greg Bissonette. For all of you who've seen Ringo in concert in the last 13 years, 14 years, Ringo always has a second drummer with him, and that's been Greg. I think he's been the longest member of the band besides Ringo.
Wow.
And he just can't wait to get up there and play the drums and talk about Ringo. And talk about his experiences. Yeah, how many people get to sit next to Ringo playing drums? It's just, it says it's an honor, and he loves it. And he's like one of the hottest session musicians in California. And why would Ringo work with anyone who's not the best?
Right. What about Billy J? Will he be there?
Billy J. Kramer will definitely be there. He's going to do some
Wow.
songs. We're going to have a little super group backing him up, including Greg on drums and Lawrence Juba on guitar, and members of Liverpool will be there also. And Billy's going to do a whole bunch of songs, and Greg's going to do some songs from the tour with Lawrence up there with him, and then Lawrence going to do a nice set of Wings songs. So and Greg's going to be up there with him. So we got our guests there. And Sunday only we have Don Daneman. Everybody know who? Anyone don't know who Don Daneman is? We'll tell you. Don Daneman was the lead singer of the group The Circle.
Ah.
And of course, their hits Red Rubber Ball and Turn Down Day. What they're known for, as far as we're concerned, is they were on the tour in 1966, the last Beatles tour. And Don is a talker. He just tells stories. He's a great storyteller. But you know, he was on the field. He was on the field on August 29th, 66. He tells a story that George is walking around with a camera, taking pictures. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, it may be our last show. I don't know."
Wow.
He'll tell that whole story. But I just found out today when I was looking up some statistics about Paperback Writer and Rain, that Red Rubber Ball was held out of the national #1 spot by Paperback Writer.
Ah.
So it made it up to #2.
Hmm.
But that was back in July of 66.
And
So,
you, of course, you have the great Beatles guru, Mark.
yes, Mark Lewison will be there. He's gonna do a talk about India and about the Four Lads, but it's gonna be a totally new talk, and if you've never seen them, it's gonna be in 2 parts, Saturday afternoon at 4:30 and 4 o'clock. No, I think 4:30 both days, but it's around that time. But I don't have the schedule in front of me because it's on my screen, and I'll mess it up if I try to look.
Yeah, I've got this.
Oh, Carol has the schedule.
Carol, who else are we forgetting that? Because we have people here tonight that have never been to the fest before.
We have, well, you guys.
We have the Beatles channel panel. It's first time they're gonna be live.
Stage, and the group Black Rabbit, Black Rabbit, they're coming back.
Yeah.
They'll be playing on Saturday,
Saturday afternoon. Yep.
right? And on another day, Chris O'Dell.
Yes,
Oh,
Chris
Is she
O'Dell's
actually
coming in.
I heard
She-
her husband died.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
did.
did.
Is she still coming? Is she still coming?
Yes, she did. We just have to switch her flight, but I think the memorial service is next Wednesday.
No, it's just April 23rd.
Oh.
It's April 23rd. I don't
No,
know.
there was a little confusion on some of the dates, but she wants to come out the day earlier rather than, we have to find a new flight for her, but that's fine. We'll take care of it. But she was our guest when the book came, her great book first came out. And
Mhm.
she's so sweet. She really is a wonderful lady. And we're looking forward to having her back again as an eyewitness to the rooftop.
yeah.
So
And
that's-
tell people, Mark, because we have a lot of people that have never been to the fest. They're just hearing about it for the first time. And like Donna Patrone is going to be her first. She's here. And tell them what they can do if they don't want to go hear the speakers, what's going on all over the hotel.
Oh, we have continuous activities in 10 different ballrooms. You want to hold up the
Yeah, wait, let me just,
oh, there, show
so
the
wait,
iPad.
so what we have, I have it on my phone.
So we have the discussion room, the discussions are had
Discussion
by
room.
one and only Susan Ryan. And we have,
Okay, so what we did was, we have like a
I'll
grid.
do it up to that.
Can you see?
So point right to it, square.
We have a grid, so you could see what's happening in each room at the same time.
Oh, good.
So, like that. That's Friday. And then Saturday, we have
All kinds of things.
main
Yeah.
stage,
Awesome.
and then the rest of the rooms. So you can go across and see. It's hard.
You got to decide what you want to do. Do you want to watch a video? Do you want to go
what-
on discussion or
yeah.
sound alikes or trivia competitions? Name that tune, the marketplace, the Apple Jam stage, Michelle's Fabratory
So
on
now-
the first floor.
The Fabratory first floor is going to be the magical mystery floor.
Ooh.
And then
The
the
ninth
ninth
floor.
floor is going to be the Revolution number 9th floor. And what people can do if they want is they can get, because we're doing a hybrid event. People can't come or they live too far away, for whatever reason. They can buy a Zoom ticket, a virtual ticket. And the main room will be on all the time, most of the time. And then we'll have roving videographers going around. We'll have a room that was the karaoke room. It's like a boardroom. I think, Susan, you're using that for some of
For
your
two
discussions.
things, yeah.
Right. So we can have like intimate interviews with some of the guests there or fans. But people, if they come and they say, you know what, I can't see everything, they could get a Zoom ticket and watch it for a week. So that'll be good.
Right, so all the people come on Friday and or Saturday and can't be there Sunday and wanted to see Peter Jackson.
But
they
most of the guests are on more than once, so
Yeah,
you have to kind of figure out what.
And tell them if they're bringing kids, you have things for kids as well, right?
Oh,
Yeah, we
Michelle-
have
Michelle set up a whole bunch of new things.
yoga, we have Beatles yoga, we have Mr. Ray is doing a concert in the Fabratory on Saturday. We have
Puppet show,
the
Bob
puppet
Abdul.
shows with Mr. Puppet, and we have a parade, and what else? We have Beatles, I think, do we have the trivia for kids too? We
I
did.
don't think so. We might.
There's
Tom
like
Tom
little-
does it. He can
Lots
do
of,
it.
let's see, I I can read some of the things that. are
There's
posted.
also, isn't there also an art, like the kids can go create art in the art
Well,
room?
we usually do have that. We didn't set it up this time because of COVID. But there'll be things like
Understand.
in the laboratory. There's a lot of other things. The art room is going to be a psychedelic art room.
Oh.
Arlene Weissman, who's an artist, she's coming to help deco, and we're going to have a lot of psychedelic stuff and videos of the George presentation that she did from the Zoom. And that's going to be going on throughout the weekend in there.
And also, there will be a new little 8-month-old there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Skylo.
Gallo, he is so
Here,
delicious.
let's say on Saturday, there is a kids pool party, but let's see, there's for kids what day is this?
This is the art, while you're looking for that, this is the artwork that Carol and Billy did together. Well, yeah, it was a team. I had nothing to do with the artwork.
What, I showed them the painting.
Yes, show the painting.
That's magnificent.
Beautiful. It's gorgeous.
That's the card. Tilly put the card together.
Will you have T-shirts with that on it, Mark?
Not yet, but they will.
Okay.
They will. It's in the process. Oh, we have a new, here with the pin, the buttons with that design.
Oh,
Wow.
it's awesome. That's so
Little
awesome.
psychedelic.
Oh, I love it.
But
That's
for you newbies, the first time, bring your guitar or your tambourine or whatever, your ukulele.
Absolutely.
There are bands all over the hotel that you can join in with. Oh, let's see.
So it started, I
guys.
made a little painting and Mark decided he wanted it for his office.
Oh,
So the
nice.
kid said,
Wow.
use that
That is nice.
for the design.
Just one. Hold it still.
Beautiful.
But we have, I don't know if Tilly made a design where she put the faces like in the sun and the hearts, but we went with the other one.
And
So
this
it
one,
will- Well, this is in progress for my little grandson.
Oh,
Let's see if we can see him today. Oh, so for the kids, we have arts and crafts. This is all in the Fabratory. Twist and Shout Kids Yoga, Toy Instrument Jam. And then on Saturday, there's, similar stuff going on.
well, it's good. It is for all ages. So don't be afraid to bring your
Yes.
kids with you. There's something for everyone. And I just,
karaoke too, for kids and for adults.
Okay.
And it's all over, we take over the entire hotel. I see, Janice, I know you've never been to the fest. Everybody else
First
has.
fest.
Debbie
Oh.
Greenberg, I think this will be her first.
Where is Debbie?
Mhm.
I want-
She's
I-
from Liverpool on chat. She stayed
Right.
up late to be with us tonight.
But I don't see her.
No,
No.
she was on the last one, and so she's joining us just by chat. But I think she'll
Hi,
check.
Debbie.
She
there?
Said hi, she said hi a minute ago.
Okay, well, we'll see you in about 10 days.
It's going to be fun. Anybody else that you want to tell us about that you think people don't want to miss?
On Sunday, we have a musicians forum with all the musicians. That's always a highlight because it's going to be Lawrence and Greg and Don Danneman and Billy. They'll just sit on the stage with instruments around and they'll just come up with a topic to talk about. Okay, let's talk about rockabilly. Let's talk about jazz and see how it relates to Beatles music and pick out some songs. And it's off the cuff. There's nothing. It's not planned, so it becomes natural.
There's the Beatles channel panel.
Mhm.
Who's going to be on that? Tom Frangione, I know.
Yes, Tom Frangione and
Randy
three people that we know them. Two of them
Adam.
produce. Yeah, Adam Saltzman and the Carl Crams. They both produce and help out with the Beatles channel panel.
Mhm.
Well, that'll be
And
great. Well,
Randy is one of the executives who's been coming to the fest since 1977 in Chicago. He's from Chicago originally. He's a hardcore fan. He's a terrific guy, and they're all going to be on stage. And You never know who else is going to pop in. Oh, look at that.
This
No,
is our
no,
special
you moved it.
guest.
No, no, no. A piece of cabbage is not a special guest.
Well, you never
I don't
know.
know. It was just there a second ago.
It could be cabbage that John touched.
You never know.
But-
Oh, there he is. He's cuter than a cabbage.
Aw.
He's cute, much cuter than a cabbage.
Right, Mom,
Hey,
thank you.
every time I look at him, he smiles. I mean, every single time. It's like he could be hungry or eating, whatever. He looks at me, grandpa. But he doesn't say grandpa. Yeah, but
Well, we are
He's a happy
smiling.
The,
We are-
the Apple Jam stage. right?
yes, we do. We have a lot of artists. In fact, Tilly's going to be on that.
Tilly and her friend Chris, they're the poly-themed band.
And then Drew Hill from the band Liverpool will be, his daughters will be there. So the next generation are doing
The
just
Beatles
fine.
video room. Did we mention the marketplace?
We have vendors from all over the country, and we have our store set up, and a lot of authors, more
And all you
authors.
guys signing?
Lots and lots.
A
You
lot
have
of
to
authors.
decide how you want to do that with, whether you want people to stand away while they're taking selfies or, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Well,
we-
guys, I know you are swamped and busy, and we thank you for coming by to say hi to us and tell us about the fest. It was a gift of love because I know you're really busy, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, pleasure.
gonna
Thank
Good to
you.
see all
We'll
of
see you
you.
all next week. Looking forward to see the ones we
Yeah.
haven't met yet, Debbie and Janet.
So
And
excited.
we will see you. Have a good trip in, and peace and love. Peace and love.
Okay, thank you for being
Thank
here.
you, Jude.
Jude, we're gonna
Thank
miss
you.
you. We're gonna
Everybody.
miss you over
Guys.
there.
I
We
We
know.
are really gonna miss you
Are
there.
you going to zoom in?
Every second.
Okay.
I would watch the whole
And
thing.
we'll see you there.
Right, and you'll.
Okay,
Okay.
love you guys. Thank you.
Love you.
care.
Bye.
Bye. Well,
Night.
Mark and Carol would tell us that Susan Ryan has been helping so much to get this weekend ready. And besides helping to coordinate, she has written a wonderful new book. If you could see my copy, everything is circled and starred and with notes and hearts. It's the Beatles' Fab Four Cities. And I think originally the intent was to make it into a travelogue, but it is so much more than that. It gives you the history of every place, and it tells you coincidences and links between the cities. You are going to want to get a copy of this book. Susan, tell us all about the Fab new book and what you'll be doing at the fest.
Thank you so much, Jude. I appreciate all the boosting you've been doing for the book. Really appreciate it. So I co-wrote this book with David Bedford and Richard Porter from London and Liverpool, respectively. Unfortunately, neither of them are going to be able to be at the fest in New Jersey. They're both hoping to be in Chicago in August, but they're not going to be here next weekend. So it's up to me and our de facto agent, Simon Weitzman, to hold down the fort about the book. But the book was an idea that Richard and David came up with about 4 cities that shaped the Beatles: Liverpool, Hamburg, London, and New York. And they came to me. We've been friends for years, so we've known each other forever. And they came to me and they said, well, you're a tour guide in New York, and we do the same kind of thing in our respective cities. And we have this idea, and we'd like you to write the New York section. And I said, absolutely. It was a no-brainer. Obviously, I said that I would do it. So I actually traveled to London to meet with prospective publishers. And our publisher is ACC Art Books out of the UK. They saw our vision. They knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to highlight special sites in each city and also the connections between the cities, because there are a lot of connections between the cities. The fact that they're all ports, the fact that they're all relatively, especially in Europe, they're on the same line of latitude. It's just crazy. The coincidences and connections between the cities are amazing. And between us, we managed to find many. So we had a real blast writing the book. And actually, this book was highlighted in Parade magazine this weekend. So this is the page for Parade magazine. It was in Parade Picks. You have
Awesome.
Parade magazine in your Sunday paper. It's apparently the largest circulation magazine in the United States because of all the papers that it's in. So it's in papers from New York to Los Angeles and every place in between. So it was highlighted in
Wow.
I didn't find out about that until Sunday morning. People were texting me like mad. So it was really awesome because I haven't gotten a physical newspaper in years, so you can imagine.
My brother saw it in Arizona.
There you go. So it's good. I'm glad to hear that because I had people from California and from Chicago and from Florida and from all over the place telling me that they saw it. So it's awesome.
Wow.
So that's the book, and we really had a really great time doing it. I will be running around the whole weekend, but Mark, I think I have a time when I'll be signing and selling books at some point. And you can, yeah. So you'll look in your program, you'll find it. I'm not in the discussion room where I spend most of my time, or running around like, you know, a mad woman all weekend. If you can't find me, someone knows where to find me, so I'm around. And I'm in
You
5
know
places
where
at
you'll
once.
be.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm in 5 places at once, it seems like. But that's what goes on at a fest, and I love it. And like Mark and Carol said, I've been going to these fests since 1977.
Wow.
I was 15 years old when I went to my first fest, and I only missed a couple in the 80s when I was at college and couldn't go, and I have not missed a fest at all in 30 years.
Wow.
So except for one, my son was like 2 months old. So I've been going to these things forever, and I've been going to Chicago for more than 20 years also. So this is, as you said, Jude, the fest is my place. It's my family. I described it to my brother, who had never, he popped into a fest one time in Chicago and never seen me, what I do at a fest. And I said to him, I'm not the person you think you know when I'm at this thing. I am singing the song of my people. And I think everybody here agrees, if you, all of these people who are guests right here know what I mean when I say we sing the song of our people when we're at a fest. And if you've never been to the fest and you're going for the first time, you will have a best time because you will be with thousands of like-minded people who understand. If the rest of your world looks at you like you're weird because you're a Beatles fan, that will not happen here. You will be with your kindred spirits. And I cannot even describe to you how wonderful it feels and how much all of us, I'm sure I speak for everybody, have missed this over the past 2 years of not being able to attend a fest in person. And
Well,
I'm gonna cry. So
thank you so much for all the work that you've been doing too. And we are all thrilled, and Lena and I we're so proud of you.
Yeah, we are so proud. It's a fantastic book. As my daughter would say, it's very extra.
oh, cool. Well, thank you. It's so nice. It's so nice to hear that from people. I love that. And the really cool thing about the fest is that when you're there, aside from the books and all the other things, you can meet the authors of many, many books, as in some of them are right here on this webinar. You can go listen to music. There's music all the time. There's music everywhere. There's music from the minute you walk in to the minute you walk across to the minute you walk out, and it goes on all night. People are jamming in the hallways all night long.
It's fun.
There's the Apple Jam stage. You get to hear, Mark mentioned some of the people who are going to be on the stage. You get to hear, there's going to be people like, if you know Scott Erickson, he's going to be on the Apple Jam stage. A local band called The Wag, featuring Alicia Van Sant as their singer, and they're going to be on the Apple Jam stage singing. And if you've never seen Black Rabbit or you don't know who they are, they gained fame because they were they had viral videos of them singing Beatles songs in the subway. And they're a pair of twin brothers from Brooklyn, and they are amazing, and they are sweet, sweet guys. They are just so nice. And you'll get to hear them. You'll get to talk to the various guests. You'll get to come to panels and get as geeky as you want because you're in a room full of people who are just like you. So it's amazing. Well, and it's going to be a really, really fun weekend. And if you want to do nothing else but sit and watch videos, you can go to the video room and you can watch videos courtesy of Steve Shorten, who runs the New York video room. And he has an amazing collection of stuff. And he's got some new things he's premiering this year. It's just going to be really, really exciting. Even if you've attended a lot of these, You're going to
We're
really
even
have a
gonna
good
show-
time.
Steve's even going to show the documentary I made in 1974 on the first Beatle Fest. That's
Oh.
Welcome to
Welcome to
Pepperland.
Pepperland.
Cool.
That'll be
Yeah.
great. That will be so great. Well, right now we're going to show you how magical this weekend is going to be, because we are going to transport you to the main stage in the main ballroom. It's Friday night. It's 6:30 p.m. And we're on stage. The authors, they're coming on stage right now. I'm going to give them each a microphone and ask them to introduce themselves and tell a little bit about themselves, so that you'll be able to go to their booth in the marketplace and chat with them and learn more about their books, and to purchase a book, which you will not share with the soul. If you love it, you will tell a friend to buy a copy. They are all here from all over the world, and we are going to introduce them. Now, first up, we have a person who's coming to the fest very first time. Wish she had been with us all these years, because you're going to love her. She's daring. She didn't wait for fate to happen to her. She grabbed fate by the shoulders and shook it. And her book, My Ticket to Ride, is one of my favorite Beatles books. You've heard me say it kept me up 4 nights straight. I couldn't sleep because I wanted to get to the end of this book. It is great. Welcome to the fest and to the main stage tonight, Janice Mitchell.
Well, I'm so delighted to be here. I feel so special to be included in this particular webinar because, here I am like the new kid on the block. But here you actually invited me, so thank you so much. And I'm so excited to share my story, which is a true story from 1964, My Ticket to Ride, how I ran away to England to meet the Beatles and got rock and roll band in Cleveland. It's my story of when the very first time I heard I Want to Hold Your Hand when I was 15 on the radio, my sad little teenage life. I was completely transformed and electrified by the first chords of that song, where I would never been the same after that. It inspired me so much to seek out the happy life in what I call Beatle land. And my friend and I, we decided we're going for it. And we, without telling anybody, I was the planner, but she had the money. So between the two of us, we made it happen. And throughout that summer, as we were preparing to see the Beatles in concert in Cleveland on September 15th, 1964, we got our passports. She took the money out of the bank, and we went right across the street to the TWA ticket office and bought 2 one-way tickets to Heathrow Airport. And we had planned to leave the morning after the Beatles concert, which we did. Instead of going to school, we took a taxi to the airport and then flew to Heathrow and began our brand new life, which was supposed to start off, and it did, in Soho. Because I read in a Beatles magazine that the Beatles could hang out in clubs and coffee bars in Soho. And I turned to my friend and I said, "Look at this, they actually put this right in a magazine. Now we know where they are. That's where we're going." So that's what we did. And we had the best time. We rented a little studio apartment in Holland Park area, took the tube, and went to little clubs and met boys. I met the cutest boy named Mick, who turned out to be, not only was he a musician, but get this, he was from Liverpool. So how cool is that? Okay. Smoked cigarettes with no filters, had his hair like twisted around on his forehead, and it was like the coolest boy I ever saw in my life. So I tell you about, we all 4 of us hitchhiked to Liverpool, what that was like. And actually, when we were, didn't even know that anybody was looking for us, but it turned out to be an international girl hunt. I have all the newspaper story clippings. I have the headlines all here, the first 2 pages of the book, to prove to you that this was something that actually happened. I have all the evidence right here in my book. And I tell you my story as I go along, and I take you with me. And it's like we're together on this journey. And I think you're going to really love it. And the story is actually getting out into the news more and more. And here I am in the New York Post, where they did a full, I know. I had a 4-hour photo shoot with New York Post photographers at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
You
And
and
then-
Susan are going to get too big for us. We're not going to be able to have
Check
y'all.
this out. Right after that, I was in the Daily Mail. Yep. There I
That's
am.
cool.
Here I am.
Hmm.
And it was in the online, and it was a full page in the Saturday Daily Mail newspaper.
Wow.
Then, as if that wasn't enough, Great Britain News Sunday morning show. I was on. They
Wow.
zoomed me in. Yep, to interview me. I had to
Oh.
actually be ready to be on at 1:30 in the morning. Makeup, hair, clothes, everything, because they're 5 hours behind.
But Pat and I, that's our time to shine, right, Pat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was unbelievable. And then the story migrated over to the Guardian, and then the Liverpool Echo with my story about, has anybody seen Mick? So I've been having a blast, and I can't wait to get to the fest to share my story with everybody. And I'm just so excited. I can't even believe this is real, but it is.
It's a fantastic story, and I have your book, and I'm sorry to say I haven't had time to read it yet, but I can't wait, and I've heard so much about it, and everyone at the fest is going to love you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love all of you too. I'm so happy to be a part of the Beatles and the Fest family. So thank you for accepting me into this such a special, special group of people. And, you know, we're all in this, we're all together in this, and we all share the same love. And it's going to be just absolutely fabulous.
Well, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Look
So-
forward to meeting you in person, Janice. And
Sorry?
welcome you to the fest. We look
Oh.
forward to meeting you in person and welcoming you to your first fest.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, our next guest is a big hit at the fest. He's a gentleman who hails from Canada, and he was with us prior to COVID at both the New Jersey and the Chicago Fest for Beatles fans with his acclaimed book, The Beatles in Canada Red Book.
Yes.
And now he's back with his new and upcoming book, Beatles in Canada Blue Book. So
Oh.
I'm very, very happy and excited to welcome our friend, Mr. Piers Hemmingsen, to the stage. Piers, tell us a little bit about yourself and your book, the panels and presentations you're going to give at the fest.
Well, thank you, Lania. I don't know. We were just talking about how there was no fest last year and the year before, and it's, you know, we've all been through a crazy time, and we've all come out of it. Let's hope it gets better. I think it will, and I think the funnest part for me is just getting to the fest and seeing everybody after a little break, and you know, we were just talking about all the authors and the authors room and how much fun we have there. You're pretty much nailed to the table for hours and hours, but for what I know, it's a lot of fun, and I make so many new friends and so many other folks that I get to hang out with. Susan talked about that before, but I'm really excited because through the fest, through the pandemic, libraries were closed, archives were closed up here anyway. I don't know about down there, but I couldn't even get across the border into the States. Our border with the United States was closed for a big chunk of the last couple of years. So I've got my vaccination, I got a full tank of gas, and I'm looking forward to driving whatever it is, 12 hours to get there. And so I'm just going to flip over and talk about what's happening with my Beatles in Canada book project, because I'm really excited about that. I was able to take advantage of the time off and finish the Blue Book. So that's the big news for me. The bad news, if it's bad news, the bad news for me is that it's bigger than the Red Book. So I got to figure out page count and how we get all this information into one book. And that's where I'm at right now and I'm going to update everybody, of course, at the fest, but we're now in layout mode, which is going to be about 90 days. And so we're getting to the end of the line here for the Blue Book. And I really, really believe in my soul that it is the perfect companion to the Red Book. It takes the story of the Beatles in Canada right up to 1970. So it picks up where the Red Book leaves off. So the Red Book went up to the end of the first Canadian tour of 64, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, and all the crazy nuttiness that happened on those tours. And then we come back for 65 and 66. Mark talked about the Circle, and the Circle were in Toronto, and they put on really, really good shows with the Sounds Incorporated. We get into all of the concerts, and we get into all of the connections with Canada. So the biggest challenge for me was writing about John and Yoko coming to Canada 3 times in 1969. So John was still a Beatle, and I got to meet and interview all the people that were involved with the Canadian end of the story, the Montreal Bed-In, the Rock and Roll Revival, and of course the Peace Festival that never happened, but John and Yoko were actively involved with promoting it in Canada right up and until the end of 1969. So there's lots of surprises in the book, and I've just finished going through a second round of edits, and I can't believe how much stuff is in there. It's mind-boggling for me. So I don't know what to tell you, except that I'm going to have some sample work with me. We're going to be able to take down special requests for numbers, because every book is going to be signed and numbered. And we have a bunch of books that are signed by 2 people who are directly involved with the story. So I'm going to have that as a surprise. You talked about the authors event on the Friday night, and we'll be having a few surprises. So we have all kinds of things, giveaway things to bring along, and I hope everybody will get a chance to drop by the table. And I'm excited to meet.
Oops, did we lose Piers?
I don't
I think
know.
we may have a
Like he's
glitch. He'll be
froze.
back. While he's gone, I'll hold up. This is his Red Book. And I want to say that it is not only so thorough in its coverage of the Beatles in Canada, the first part, and of course now the Blue Book will be just as correct. And there was about 2 or 3 years ago, I had read that Brian Epstein had said some really terrible things about Canadians during the 1964 North American tour. And that did not seem in character with Brian. He was a gentleman, always really watching what he said, very scrupulous in his behavior. And so I called Piers, and he helped me, and we got documentation proving that not only did Brian not say those things, he wasn't even in Canada at that time. He was back in England doing a finale for Ready, Steady, Go. So Piers gets the story right, and he spends a lot of time doing research. I highly recommend the Red Book, and I know the Blue Book is going to be just as wonderful. So did we lose him?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay.
But can I just add something real quick, Jude? That American fans think they know the entire story of the Beatles in North America. And I can tell you that 45 plus years after becoming a fan and thinking I knew it all, reading the Red Book was revelatory.
Yes.
There was stuff in there that I never knew, and I never realized how different it was for Canadian fans than for American fans.
And
So
Piers,
you get a whole different angle. Piers is back.
all right, Piers, we're singing your praises. Everybody in the chat is saying how wonderful your book is. Susan and I both just endorsed it. Any final words for our new attendees?
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, and thank you for that. And I hope everybody knows why one is red and one is blue. So there we go. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Okay.
See you next week.
I look forward to it.
Now, I don't see Lena. Is she still with us?
Elena's here.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
I'm here.
All right, take it away, girl.
Okay, so our next guest is an author that we so adore. She is a special lady, and she not only met the Beatles in person, but she presented them with a lovely and what I'm told quite heavy plaque and to welcome them to the great city of Chicago. We enjoyed our time with her several years ago at the Beatles at the Ridge, and we're so happy to have her with us again tonight. And welcome our friend, Marty Edwards, the author of the happy and joyous book, 16 in 64. Marty, the mic is all yours.
Well, hi, I'm so happy to be here with you all tonight. I've missed the fest so much. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be in New Jersey because my husband has been quite ill. But I've already got my reservations for Chicago, so I'm planning on Chicago. I'll be there. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the three Beatle babes. Myself, Patty Gallo-Stenman, and Pat Mancuso. And what is our history for the babes? Well, on August 11th in Chicago at the Fest, we were put on a panel of for fan clubs because we all have fan clubs, and we just loved it. Susan Schmidt was our moderator, and I think Susan, you were too.
I was there, but Sarah was the moderator. at that
Sarah,
panel because
Sarah.
because she's working on a book about fan clubs. So she was the one who actually did the interviewing. But I was definitely in the room for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you were, but we just enjoyed it so much and hit it off so well. And Pierce said about making friends. We're all friends now, and we're, like you said, family. But we just found ourselves had so much in common. For instance, we're all first generation fans. We all had some sort of fan club back then related to the Beatles. Two of us actually met the Beatles. We've all published similar books, memoirs of our teen years. And then when we got off the panel, we also discovered more things about ourselves that really, truly are strange. We found out that, number one, we're all only children. So I guess that's what, overachievers, right? To do these fan clubs. We had very supportive parents, all three of us, to help us and helped us through. We were, and two of us are moms of twins. So we all just adore each other and had such a good time chatting that the whole idea behind the Beatle Babes was we were going to get together and tell people what it was like to go through Beatlemania as a first generation fan and be fan club presidents. And we all have our own stories for this. And we have done a lot of podcasts during the pandemic. We've done some Zooms. We've done radio shows, some in-person interviews. And we just support each other so much through the whole thing. My book, well, first I'm going to show you this cute little, this is our little, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Oh, that's
We
nice.
did a little board for us so we can put it up when we do our panels. And it's our Bitmoji selves. But anyway, my book, 16 and 64, The Beatles and the Baby Boomers. And yes, folks, believe it or not, that is me.
You look just like that, right?
On
You
the
look
cover.
wow.
I love your
And
hair.
so my story is about growing up in a suburb south of Chicago. And it tells about the suburb and how, we felt very safe in that environment. And And then the next, we get into the high school, and then I get into my Beatles fan club. 1963 was actually when we started the Beatles fan club. We had a unique situation in Chicago where VJ Label started putting out some of the first Please Please Me and a couple of others. And WLS picked up on them. That's a radio station, and they started playing them. And they were playing them in the spring and summer of '63. I was going downtown to the Art Institute on Saturdays, and then in the summer, I would go to summer school down there. It's a big fan base already. So by the time I got back to school, to high school in the fall, there was a group of girls that just loved the Beatles. Of course, we decided to start a fan club right then and there. And by Christmas, because we had quite a few articles in the local paper, we were up to 500 members.
Wow.
And this was before the Ed Sullivan Show. This was around Christmas. Anyway, our fan club grew and grew and grew. And finally, we were able to make some headway and meet some people in Chicago and write numerous letters, make numerous phone calls, which was all a learning experience. You know, we learned a lot running these fan clubs. And I have to say that, you know, fan clubs were more important back in those days, I would say, because there was no social media, and we were sort of a buffer between the Beatles and the press. And we got in there and we would let our voice be heard, you know. So fan clubs were important back then. And through all the negotiating we did and all the phone calls we made, I was finally able to meet the Beatles at their 1964 Chicago press conference and present them with my very heavy plaque, which is what I told John when I was presenting it to him. Take it, it's very heavy. That's what I told him. But that's a picture of me presenting the plaque to the Beatles at the 1964 Chicago press conference. This other picture I have, and this fellow was so nice to us, Derek Taylor, their press manager. He's leaning over and saying to me, "Okay, girls, I'm gonna invite you up on stage in just a minute." And not knowing that I was actually gonna present the plaque until the last minute, I had nothing to say. I think that's why I said, "What?" You know, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm probably thinking worse. Probably things were in my mind that were worse than, oh my God. But anyway, I had to step up on that platform and my knees were buckling. And that's why I said to John, "This is from your Chicago friends. Please take it. It's heavy."
What did he say? What did he say,
crazy.
Marty? I love what he said to you. Tell him that.
Yeah. So that's, and I wish I could be at the New Jersey Fest. I plan on being at the Chicago Fest, but I'm going to zoom in on you guys. I will be there in Zoom, just like Jude said.
Well, we thank you for being here so much.
I've just enjoyed it so much. Thank you for having me.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in August, Marty.
I know. I look forward to seeing all of you. Give you big hugs and kisses and hugs around the neck.
We miss you, Marty.
We really do. Well, we're going to introduce another one of your cohorts in Beatle crime, the wonderful, wonderful Patty Gallo-Stenman, who tells a story about a birthday that no one else will ever equal. I don't care what you've done on your birthday. If you have flown to Paris for your birthday, if you have had a rock and roll party with 200 people there, it's not going to equal the story that Patty has to tell you. Her book, Diary of a Beatlemaniac, has just won a big award, and I'll let her tell you about that, but take it away.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for inviting us on your show today. We really appreciate it. And I'm a first generation fan like Marty and Pat. And I like to call myself actually a vintage Beatlemaniac. That's kind of the thing I call myself. But anyway, I'm also the author, as you mentioned, of a my memoir, Diary of a Beatlemaniac. And it's actually a Fab Insider's look at the Beatles era. And that is me on the cover in 1974, believe it or not, but and with my memorabilia. So what happened was my book is published by Kinman Press, and they're in Malvern, PA, which is very close to my hometown of Philadelphia. And I was a Philly inner city girl. I lived in the city, and I was really ripe for the chase at 14 when the Beatles, hit the scene in 64. That was a great age. And that's when I start running with them, sort of. And the book itself actually is, it's compiled from a lot of stuff that I kept. I had a diary that I kept from when I was 13. This is it. And it looks kind of small, but you can see how little the pages are. And I wrote and wrote and wrote in it. And that's when I started in 64, writing about the Beatles also in it. And the book also has my scrapbooks stuff. All girls kept scrapbooks back then, back in the 60s. It was something to do. And also I did have, besides a diary and scrapbooks, I had a column for a local newspaper that I started when I was 15 called Teen to Teen. And I wrote a lot about concerts and fashion and Beatles and the Beach Boys. And I kept all those columns. And some of those are also in the book. And of course, I did a lot of research from that. So there's a lot of things that are compiled in this book. But the interesting thing is that, I wanted to actually talk about the escapades of my Beatle buddy group, which was just a bunch of us girls that banded together. And I wanted actually to tell people what Beatlemaniacs actually did in the 60s. I mean, there's so much story about, we went to concerts. Great. We all went to concerts. I saw them 3 times, twice in Philly and once at Shea Stadium. But what did we do day to day? The average little Beatlemaniac do. So that's when I said, okay, well, we did things like, the Beatle birthday parties, which you mentioned. And there I was, every year I would have Beatle birthday parties in my parents' dining room. And I would put on my mother's good wallpaper, I put all the posters up with Scotch tape. You could imagine that. Then one dear, I guess it was Paul's birthday, one year, the second year, we decided to call Liverpool. And that was a fun thing to do because, it was, in those days, calling long distance was very expensive. And my mom wasn't in the house and she didn't know we did this. So we called Liverpool and we're so excited. I had an address from Paul McCartney from one of the teen magazines. And the Liverpool operator in her beautiful accent answers the phone and said, well, he's not in, dear. Why don't you try his fan club? Well, we all went crazy, all the girls at my birthday party, because we actually heard somebody with a Liverpool accent, even if it wasn't Paul McCartney. And it actually saved my rear end because, my mother didn't have any big bill to pay for a person-to-person call to Paul McCartney that day, which would have killed me. So they were things that we used to do in the old days. One of my favorite things, actually, and I don't know if anybody else did this, but when Paul McCartney, I guess, was sort of hot and heavy with Jane Asher, we decided, my girlfriends and I went to a strict Catholic girls' high school. We decided to make a clay voodoo doll of Jane Asher. And stick things in it during 5th period lunch at a Catholic girls' school. That was something we did. And we picked that up because I think of the movie Help and the Sacrifice and Ringo and things. We got that from there. But yes, we did that during 5th period lunch. So Beatlemaniacs, young kids and average kids did a lot of fun things. And I wanted to point those out in the book. And I did. The other thing is that as many fans did back then, as Marty pointed out is we had fan clubs. That was the thing. I mean, Pat will tell you about her fan club. Well, I didn't have one for the Beatles, but I had one for Victor Spinetti, who was in all the Beatle movies. And my girlfriends, my little Beatle buddies, and I had met him in Philly when he was in a British musical late in September '64. He had already been in A Hard Day's Night, and he had a fan base that used to hang around the theater. And we started hanging around the theater while he was in rehearsal. And we found this cute little fan club for him. And it was called, actually, let's see if I could get it was called the Official Victor Spinetti Fan Club of America, Chapter 1, Philadelphia. He had other fan clubs too, but we were Chapter 1. And the dudes, it was a small club, not like Pat's. We had maybe 40, 50 girls from the high school. And we actually charged 50 cents, for our dues. And we did mimeograph newsletters. Victor would soon be on location with them in first in the Bahamas and then in Austria for help. So he started sending us information by mail, because that's what you had back then, about what they were doing on location. And the fun thing about Victor is he was very, very, very sweet guy, and he was very generous with gifts. I mean, he loved sending his fans things. So, for example, I'll show you. Victor sent us a menu. This is the original menu from the plane that took them from London to New York and then on to the Bahamas for location. Victor wrote inside, all in Philadelphia, at present working on Beatles 2. It wasn't called Help, it was called Beatles 2. And he said, see the back page for the autographs of the 4 lads, he called them. And there it is.
Wow.
There's 4 autographs, 2 in pencil and 2 in pen.
Wow.
And I don't think I haven't had it authenticated, but it wasn't their roadies. This was their autographs. And John acutely wrote John a Lennon, like he had a French A in the middle, because this is an a la carte menu. So he was playing a little joke on everybody. So it's John out with the a Lennon, and his is in pencil with Paul, and Ringo and George are in ink. So Victor was very, very sweet. And then it was my birthday. And my mother, who also knew Victor and loved Victor, everybody loved Victor.
This is
my
the
mother sent a
birthday
little
I was
note.
alluding to. This is the birthday that I was talking about.
This is the birthday.
Yeah.
This is the birthday. It was my birthday. So my mom said, please send Patty a little something special for her birthday, Victor. And Victor writes an envelope out with my mother's name, believe it or not, to Philadelphia. And I get this postcard from the Austrian Alps where they were filming Help. And on the back it says, to Patty from Paul McCartney, happy birthday, love. So that was amazing. Wow. This is the originals. Yeah. Wow. And then it was even better. Victor didn't stop there. They went to Twickenham studio where they were doing some of the scenes for Help. And the hairdresser at Twickenham studio gave him a lock of Paul McCartney's hair.
Oh my God.
And I put it in plastic. It was a relic for me. It was under my pillow for 3 years. Okay. Every night I slept with this. And the fun thing is everybody tells me, oh, Pat, you can now clone Paul McCartney. You've got his hair. So, but anyway, that was the kind of guy Victor was, and he loved this fan club, and he was very, very close to us. And in fact, the interesting thing was for the book, I interviewed him. I have an interview with him at the end of the book, and I did that interview at the very fun fest in Las Vegas in 2007, which was great. That was a really good fest, guys. And that was, we were at the Mirage, and Victor was there, and I got a lot of time to spend with him. And sadly, he passed on in 2012, actually on Paul McCartney's birthday. And that, it's left a memory, a lot of good memories for me. that I had this fan club, but that was part of Beatledom back then, as I say. And also, I wanted to mention too that I feel my book is actually a saga of growing up, because I started it when the book is started when I'm 13, before Beatlemania, and then it goes on to this incredible adventurous era of Beatlemania. And then the last part of the book, I'm at the university, I'm getting more mature and grown up. So it bridges 3 life stages of a young girl's life, which I think is an interesting aspect to it, besides all the Beatlemania parts. And also it led me to a career in journalism, which I did for many decades. Okay, that so much for the book. Now
the award. Tell us about your
the award. Okay. Well, I was really excited because my publisher at Kindred Press contacted me on March 8th, and she said that I am now the recipient of one of the 2022 Independent Press Awards for book authors. I thought press awards is that for journalists, but no, it's for book authors. The category I won in is called Arts and Entertainment, which I think was kind of cool. And I thought this was really such an honor, not only for me and my publisher, but also for the Beatles, because that's another award for our guys, And I just want to, thank everybody for that. And I've been really excited about it. And we'll put a little sticker on my books now. So that's kind of fun.
Thank you for reporting all of that and keeping it for all those years and turning it into this lasting record. Sarah Schmidt has joined us, and I'm sure that all 3 of you have been talking to Sarah about her new book on the American Beatles fan clubs that's coming out. And so with Sarah, we're rooting you on. We can't wait to read your new book. We're on needles and Pinza. So, thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much, Patty. It was delightful.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So both Jude and I are devoted fans of Patty's book and also of our next guest. We're so proud to have another one of the dynamic Beatle babes in with us tonight. I'm especially thrilled to be able to introduce her because, as a lot of people don't know, I'm a George Harrison fan. She has written 2 fascinating books. Do You Want to Know a Secret? The story of the official George Harrison fan club, as well as Do You Promise Not to Tell? The final story of the official George Harrison fan club. So Pat Mancuso is with us, and please, Pat, welcome and tell us all about what you're going to do at the fest.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Linnea. Yep, I'm Pat, and from 1964 to 1972, I was the president of the official George Harrison fan club. My fan club started out small, as I was only 15 when I started it, and my only income was my $5 a month allowance. But then I put an advertisement in Teen Screen magazine in April of 1965, and I very quickly was overwhelmed, as were my parents. To join my fan club, for George, it cost all of 40 cents and 5 cents, or 3 5-cent stamps for lifetime dues. Before I knew what was happening, I had over 1,000 members. My parents helped me out considerably, first by increasing my allowance to $5 a week. And they also helped me with many things, such as finding out where to get stuff mimeographed. Anybody out there who doesn't know what mimeograph is, it's like a messy version of photocopying. They helped me print photos, or my dad helped me print photos for the initial fan club kits. He was in the Army, and he was stationed on a base in Valley Forge. We lived in a little town called Collegeville, Pennsylvania. And my father was a staff sergeant there, and he got just one guy who was a private, and we all met at the dark room on the base and printed thousands of pictures. Now, these pictures, they were like, I had to get negatives made from like Beatle bubblegum cards and pictures in magazines, and stuff like that. But it was illegal, I suppose, but we didn't know that at the time. Anyway, we got all these pictures for the fan club kits. Our house soon became Fan Club Central. Our dining room table was the hub of the operation until the first fan club kits were actually mailed out to members, who were, by the way, all over the world. In December of 1964, George's parents jumped on the bandwagon for my fan club. George's mother especially was a huge help to me. Such a nice lady. She made sure my information was correct in newsletters. She sent me things to use as contest prizes, like guitar picks and autographs and things like that. She even sent me family pictures that I could sell through the club. She trusted me enough that she sent me these pictures, and she knew absolutely that I would make negatives and then send the pictures back to her. I mean, you know, she really trusted me.
Hey, can I interrupt you for 1 second? How did you
Yes.
meet her? Did you write to her and did she write back to you, or did you call her, or how did you?
In 1964, I sent her a Christmas card, and to my surprise, she and her husband sent one back. And that's when we started, we were pen pals for a little while, or for a long time, really. And she answered every question you could possibly imagine. So she trusted me. I don't know why. And I trusted her. I know why. But anyway, my fan club continued to flourish. And in 1968, I went to England to meet George. I didn't put in there the story of when we actually met. That would add to what I've already written. Do you want me to tell it or not? Do we have enough time?
We've got 15 minutes left on our clock. So if it's not long, we'd love to hear it.
Well, I've told it so many times, I could probably get through it pretty quick.
Okay.
Okay, so in 1968, 4 friends and I went to England. And before we left, I sent George a certified letter to his house in Esher, telling him that when we were going to appear on his doorstep. And so the day came that we were supposed to do this, and we knocked on the door, and his housekeeper answered the door, and she said that George was busy right then, that he, couldn't meet with us right then, but we should, go have lunch or something and come back in a couple of hours. So we did. And as we were walking up the road to his house, here comes a green Mini Cooper up the road. And we knew it was George. And we just stood there pointing, and the car stopped and then it backed up to where we were standing. There was 3 of us at that time, not the whole 5 of us. Anyway, he opened the door of his car and he looked at us. And then he pointed at me and said, "You." He said, "You're Pat, aren't you?" Wow. I couldn't believe, none of us could believe it. How did he know me? He hadn't met me yet. Although I knew his mother very, and his father pretty well by then. And I guess maybe he had seen a picture of me. Maybe I sent him one, I don't remember. Or maybe his mother showed him. I don't know. But anyway, we chatted for, a minute or 2, and he said he was really in a hurry and that he couldn't pose for pictures for us right then, because we did ask that question. And he said, "Why don't you come back another day? Can you come back tomorrow?" And we just like, what? yes, and he said, what time would you like to come? I said, whatever's good for you, because he was asking us to come to him, we couldn't believe it. Anyway, so we said, I think it was 2:00. And the next day we went back. He was there for us. He met with us for about a half an hour. He signed autographs. And most importantly, this is where it gets back to my script here. He signed my fan club charter. And he asked me, well, when I gave it to him, he says, well, why don't you join up with Beatles USA Limited? Because it would, you wouldn't have to do all this work. And I said, but I want to do all this work. I don't want to join up with them. I said, they're not very good, to tell you the truth. And he said, well, okay. He says, I just wondered. I didn't want to. I said, why would you ask? And he says, well, I just want to make sure you don't sue me. And I said, why would I sue you? And that was the end of the conversation. He signed the charter, and from that time on, I could officially say that we were the official George Harrison fan club. I did not find out until later, like much later, like probably not too long before I wrote my first book, that my fan club was the only one ever sanctioned by one of the solo Beatles. Nobody else signed anybody's fan club charter except mine.
Wow.
So,
Well done.
thank you.
That is amazing. Amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
So fast forward a couple of weeks, and I was at home, and I got a letter in the mail from Nathan Weiss, the Beatles lawyer, telling me to cease and desist with this fan club because it wasn't legal. We didn't give you permission, all that stuff.
Oh.
So that was a little upsetting. Yeah, I was like, at that age, I was 20 at that point. And, it was like, all of a sudden, this guy is he going to sue me or what? I was a little scared. But my dad and I composed a letter and attached a copy of that charter. And I never heard from Mr. Weiss again. So let's see. I went on to visit George again in 1969 at his home. And I became friends with pretty much his whole family. On the next visits, I went to visit his brother and sister-in-law and family. I did that twice. I met his parents both times I went. Pauline Harrison, Peter's wife, had a column in my newsletter, as did George's mother. And they would send me pictures, and I would make negatives, and I would send them back. And Mrs. Harrison connected me with her niece, Hillary, who lived in a suburb of London, and we became pen pals. It was a very exciting part of my life. In 1972, it started to get bad. George got a hold of one of my newsletters. See, I wasn't sending them to him because I figured, he knew all about himself. He didn't need this. He was furious when he got a hold of it. He got a hold of it because his sister was an honorary member. She lived in the United States. And I heard she was getting divorced from her husband, and for a while she was staying with George. So I sent the newsletter to her in care of Friar Park, which was a mistake, because he was furious, as he thought the fan clubs were already abolished since the Beatles broke up in 1970. He told Alan Klein he didn't want this garbage going out. He never said exactly what he didn't like in the newsletter. Of course, by this time, his mother had passed away, and she could no longer check to see if everything was correct. The president of the official Beatles fan club, Laura Kane, in New York, and the president of the official Beatles fan club in England, Frida Kelly, sent letters to all the members of the clubs announcing that all of the Beatles fan clubs were being disbanded. About 2 weeks later, I found out that I was at fault for ending all the clubs. I was devastated, as you can imagine. Fast forward to 2005, I wrote a book about the official George Harrison fan club called Do You Want to Know a Secret? The Story of the Official George Harrison Fan Club. I still didn't know why George did what he did in 1972. Like, why end it and blame it on me? God knows I sent him enough letters and telegrams asking him why. After that book was published, I started getting calls and letters from people who knew more about this issue than I did. I'm pretty sure the mystery has been solved. In June of 2021, I published the sequel to my first book. This one is called Do You Promise Not to Tell? The final story of the official George Harrison fan club. The secret from the first book is in book one is now located in the second book. I will be attending the fest in Jersey City, but as the schedule has not been officially released yet, I can't tell you what or where I will be. Mark, you might be able to do that, but I can't.
We will be posting all that information this Friday on the website, the whole schedule.
And for the
Thank
people
you.
that don't know, it's thefest.com, thefest.com. So
Just
Friday, you can
yesterday.
get the scoop.
So I know for sure I'll be at a table with Patty Gallo-Stenman, right, Mark?
Yes, yes.
And I've also been told by Susan Ryan that I will be on a first generation Beatles fan panel. Is that correct, Susan?
Yes, but
Yeah.
the times are until
Yeah,
Mark
we don't
puts
know.
it up.
Yeah,
But yes, yes.
yeah, Patty and I will be doing that. Marty would be with us if she was
Okay,
there, but,
I'm gonna hold
And-
your book up because we're getting
oh
to,
yeah, I forgot
I
to
want
hold,
everybody to see it.
I forgot to hold this up.
Woo!
This is George and me in 1968. Okay,
Wow.
That is so awesome.
and this is my first book. Do you want to know a secret?
Nice.
And this is my most recent book, Do You Promise Not to Tell?
Nice.
Okay, let's see. I'll be happy to answer any questions wherever I am, including at my author table and God knows where else. By the way, I also saw the Beatles in concert 4 times, 1964 in Atlantic City, 1965 at Shea Stadium, and 1966 at Shea Stadium again, and in Philadelphia at JFK Stadium.
Well, we're so envious. Nobody has a story like that. And if George Harrison knew you, that is amazing. Thank you, Pat, for being on tonight.
Thank you for asking me.
That was
Okay.
amazing. Such a fascinating story. You have really lived quite a tale, and I cannot wait to get your books. So if we're not at the fest, where can we buy your books?
I thought I put that in here. Well, anyway, you can get it at Amazon.com. You can
Okay.
get both of my books at Amazon.com. But you can get my book also, my second book. You can get that from the publishing company, which is called Tradition. That's spelled TREDITION.com. And that is in Germany. And
We'll also
I
carry
have
it
a,
ourselves. We'll carry signed copies, Patty, all right? You'll sign some copies at the end of the fest if you have any left.
well, we'll see how many I have
Right,
left.
hopefully you'll sell out of all of them, but we'd love to carry the
right.
book, signed copies. as
Okay.
we'd love to do and put it right
And
on.
I do have a website. And my website is called GeorgeHarrisonSecrets.com.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank everyone for being here tonight. We appreciate it. And we thank you. And you guys got to get to the fest for Beatles fans, April 1 through the 3 in Jersey City, New Jersey. And we'll let Lena close the show out for us. We are so thrilled that you are here. It was It was as close as I can get to the fest, and I thank you. This has just been a wonderful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just a magical evening. And I hate to spoil the party, but we do have to say good night. We're so honored to spend this evening with Jan Mitchell, Pat Mancuso, Marty Edwards, Pierce Hemmingsen, Carol and Mark Lapidos, and of course, the magical Susan Ryan and Patty Gallo-Stenman. So you guys were so much fun, and we so appreciate you coming together and helping us give all of our viewers a splash of what they can expect at the Fest for Beatles fans. It's going to be fantastic. Jude and I are so sad that we can't be there, but we will be there in August. So have a great time.
And if you have any more questions, thefest.com will have the schedule on Friday. You can check it out and make your decisions, because there's too much to do. You're going to have to pick and choose. Come with your Beatles t-shirts. And I would also suggest bring a Beatles sweatshirt with you. Mark has his Let It Be shirt on. Bring a sweatshirt as well. Sometimes it gets chilly. And if you happen to be, there you go. There you go. If you happen to be a Coca-Cola fanatic, you might want to bring Coca-Cola with you, because this is a Pepsi hotel. You're going to have a blast, and we're really so envious. We wish we could be there with you. If we didn't answer the questions that you have tonight, you can always message me on Facebook, and I'll try to answer anything for you. But if you can't go to the fest, don't forget there's going to be a virtual fest. So you will be able to still see what's going on throughout the weekend. And if you're only going one day, like Donna Petrone asked me, which day should I attend? If you're not going to all 3 days, you can watch the other 2 days via the virtual fest. So what have we forgotten, Lena?
I think that's about all. I think our time is going to run out. So next month, tune in, because Jude and I are going to be chatting with Laura Kortner and Dr. Bob Hieronymus about their book. It's All in the Mind, Part 2, the story of Yellow Submarine. Laura and Bob will be at the Chicago Fest. They couldn't make it to New York, New Jersey. So tune in to She Said, She Said, and in April to hear about their book and read it before August rolls around, which will be very quickly. So for those headed to Jersey City Hyatt on April 1st through the 3rd, have the time of your life. Here's to food for thought, food for the soul, and food for the love of rock and roll.
Ta-ra and shine on. Everybody clap. Woo!